Hey guys, it's your boy Dodo McGee and welcome back to another video. So you've downloaded LSPDFR and you've started playing GTA5 as a police officer. But you want more variety, more interaction, more features. Well, you've come to the right place, because in today's video I'm going to be showing you some must-have plugins to really enhance your LSPDFR experience. Let's go. The first thing we're going to have to do is head over to Bejoljo.com. Bejoljo is an incredibly talented plugin creator who's made a whole host of plugins and callouts for LSPDFR, all of which can be found on his website. Today we'll just be looking at Stop the Ped, Ultimate Backup and Compulite. Open up the page for Stop the Ped and you'll find a ton of information on features and a full changelog for all of its many updates. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll find this small box with saying Stop the Ped and the current version number and a little download arrow. Click the arrow to begin the download. As that is happening, open up the page for Ultimate Backup, and again we have all the information on the features, changelogs. Scroll down to the bottom and find the little download arrow. Last but not least, same thing again, but for Compulite. With all of these things downloaded, we can now head over into our Downloads folder, where you should see the 3 zip files for these plugins. Start by opening up the Stop the Ped zip folder. Inside that, you'll find 3 items: plugins, RageNativeUI.dll, and a README document. I'll say this now, and I'll say this probably multiple times throughout this tutorial series: if there is a README document, then you should always read it. It's called README for a reason. Inside there will usually be very clear instructions on exactly how to install it, as well as other important information. For example, in the Stop the Ped INI, it talks about the prerequisites that are needed, which we should all have or are going to install, an overview of what the plugin is all about, and installation instructions. Once we've finished with that, simply highlight the plugins folder and the RageNativeUI.dll, and drag and drop them into our root GTA5 folder. This will automatically install it to the plugins folder, LSPDFR folder inside that, and we should find them in there. The Police Smart Radio and the Vocal Dispatch folders are not needed in this case, but Stop the Ped comes with compatibility for these mods should you wish to install them at a later date. Next we can open up the Ultimate Backup folder, and seeing as we've already installed the RageNative.ui, we don't need to do it again. So navigate back on the other tab to your GTA5 root directory and drag and drop plugins. Last but not least, the same again for Compulite. Open it up, find the plugins folder, and drag and drop that into the root GTA5 directory. Now if we go and take a look inside plugins, LSPDFR, we will find that all of these new plugins have been successfully installed. So before we jump in, let's take a moment to look at what these folders include. If we look at the Stop the Ped folder, then inside you will find there is an audio folder. This is just the audio files that Stop the Ped is going to use and doesn't really need to be changed. Then you will see that you have several XML files. The information in these XML files is what Stop the Ped is going to use when you are interacting with the Ped and asking them questions, as well as the items that can be found during searches of vehicles and pedestrians. Lastly, there is a localization.ini file. This is how you can change words that Stop the Peds will use to make it either more applicable to the area or country that you are playing in, or you can convert the entire thing into your own language. Back into the LSPDFR folder, if you find the stoptheped.ini file, this is going to be where you're going to find the settings for the key bindings to use Stop the Ped. Stop the Ped comes with a whole range of features and functions that are way too many to go into any detail here, so I recommend that you give this a thorough read through to familiarise yourself with all of the key bindings and functions that Stop the Ped has to offer. I will be going over the basic controls and key bindings later on in this video. Next, if we go into the Ultimate Backup folder, you will once again find an audio folder, a localizations.ini, and a couple of XMLs, specifically custom regions, default regions, and specialist units. Ultimate Backup is a plugin that gives you full control over the backup units that will be coming to help you. This includes what they will be wearing, what equipment they will have with them, and what vehicles they will respond in. These XML folders can look quite complicated and daunting at first glance, so there'll be another video later on in this tutorial series going through how you can set these up to really customize the backup options that you have. Ultimate Backup also has its own INI folder, which again goes through the main key bindings that you will need. It also has options for some of the more basic backup options that will be available to you. Once again, I recommend reading through this before you first open it up, just to familiarise yourself with what is on offer. And last but not least, let's take a look at the Compulite folder. Compulite is a plugin that replaces the in-game police computer with a user interface that is much more intuitive and user-friendly. Once again, in this folder you can change some of the wording that it uses in the localization.ini, and you'll see there are 2 XMLs for charges and citations. As we'll see a little bit later on in this video, you can use Compulite to issue citations and also as an arrest records manager. These XMLs will dictate what citations and charges you are able to use and the relevance penalty for them. As ever, for the time being, these can be left completely as they are to begin with. So that is these 3 plugins completely installed and a quick look over the folder structure. So let's head over on into game and see how they work. So guys, here we are, we're back in game. We've loaded up LSPDFR as I showed you how to do in the last video. We've got our character Barry here, and I'm also going to show you one thing that I didn't go over in the last video, which was one of the console commands. So when you first load into LSPDFR, you'll load in with your character looking much like this. What you can do, if you go to F4 to open up your console, and if you start to type in force duty, and say it's, as I start to type it in, it comes up there. If you just hit tab and enter, and what this will do, this will automatically put you on duty in the outfit and with the agency that you were last on patrol with. So there we go. So that's automatically done. And as you can see on the left hand side there, you can also see that our Compulite, Stop the Ped and Ultimate Backup have all loaded in correctly. And of course it also says we are on duty with the Los Santos Police Department. So first thing we're going to go through is we're going to go through the context menu. So to do that, I'm actually going to go over to the back of our car over here. So when you're standing near to the back of your car and you hit the key for the context menu, context being the key word, this will change depending on what scenario you guys are in. So when you're standing at the back of the car, if you hit G as the default key, it'll bring up the context menu for Stop the Ped. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different options there. So we've got grab our rifle, grab shotgun, replenish ammunition, armor and health. We can grab traffic cones, grab a fire extinguisher, as well as some other things. So if we go to the top one and hit enter for grab the rifle, we'll see there's an animation that will play, and we will physically get a rifle out of the back of the car. Now, what this rifle is and what accessories it has will be dictated in the Stop the Ped INI. You can change that. If you hit G again, it will give you the option store the rifle. And as you can see, we can also do the same thing again, but for grabbing our shotgun. And as I say, these weapons can be set to pretty much whatever you want. So if you install a beanbag shotgun into the game, and you can set that to be your shotgun. But more on that in another video when we get to doing real weapons. So let's put this back. We'll store our shotgun. So this is all quite self-explanatory stuff. Of course, replenish ammunition, health and armor. Does what it says on the tin. Grabbing traffic cones, if you go with that one, similar animation again, but then it will actually get you some traffic cones that you can place down to help with that. You'll get a little marker there. So as you see, you'll get a little marker on the floor. If you hit the context menu again, you'll get the option for deploy traffic cone. And there you go, you've got a traffic cone. There are some other things in here, but we'll get onto that. So for the time being though, let's get out there and let's show you what some of the other functions that are in these mods that we've installed. Okay, so we're down here in Grove Street, which is probably a bad idea, as obviously police aren't very much welcome here, but it's going to be a good place for us to test out some of these things. So, now, one thing that we are going to have to do before we go any further is we're going to have to remove some of the conflicts between some of the key bindings, because a lot of the key bindings in Stop the Ped and Ultimate Backup are the same as LSPDFR, so we're going to have to get rid of the LSPDFR ones. So if you hit pause, go to LSPDFR and key bindings, and this will bring up all of the key bindings you've got. What you're going to need to do is just simply get rid of some of these. Specifically, if you go down to perform frisk, this will be queued by the default. Just clear that by hitting the space key. Also, if you go down to traffic stop interact, clear that one. Toggle police computer, clear that. And backup menu, clear that. All these things we don't need anymore because these are things that Stop the Ped, Compulite and Ultimate Backup have replaced. So, once we're done with that, exit out, and now we can start looking at stopping some people. If we want to stop and speak to this gentleman over here, in normal LSPDFR, what we do is hold down E, which we can still do, or if you do it through Stop the Ped, you can just double tap E. Hold up! And as you can see, he stops there. If you also look on the map, you'll see that there is a little yellow ped icon, and it will show you where you've got a stopped ped. So let's speak to this guy. You have to be standing quite close to him, and you get a notification for press E to stop, to open Stop the Ped menu. And here you go, you've got a completely new user interface. So let's start by doing things by asking identification. We've got ID card, driver's license, hunting license, fishing license. Let's just go with this standard ID card. And this all happens much the same as in LSPDFR. As you see, slightly different boxes come up. So we can see we've got Deshaun Nelson here, born 22nd of May 2000. And we can also see something that Stop the Ped adds in is he's got a concealed carry license for handguns. So that is all worth bearing in mind. If we open our menu again, we can use this to perform a ped check to dispatch. We don't have to go through the old interaction menu. So there we go. We can simply ask for a ped check on this person. And as you can see, he has got a valid driver's license and no active warrants. That's all fantastic. So we can do things with moving the peds. Now, before you had to have a ped detained in order to do this, but you can actually do this through Stop the Ped normally. So you can actually just ask them to grab on, and you'll hold on to him and you can move him. To stop him, you just push E and release ped. Pro tip, there's also a shortcut for this. You can simply hit Control T and it will do the same thing. It will just toggle that. You can also get them just to follow you. So if I want this guy to follow me over to my car, I just ask him to follow me. And then he'll follow me over here. And once he's where I want him to be, I can simply ask him to stop following me. Or put him in the back of my vehicle. You can also get him to sit on the ground, or we can ask him questions. Now these are all default questions at the game, so we can just ask him, what are you doing? You don't need to answer that. You're right, buddy, you don't need to answer that. Where have you come from today? Just came from the hospital? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Where are you headed to? You don't want to know? Okay. Do you live in this neighbourhood? Why are you so curious? To be honest, I'm just showing the people that you can ask questions. So you get the idea. There's loads of questions. You can ask about DUI, vehicle questions, narcotics, weapons. Your weapons say, do you have a weapon on your person? Yes, lots of it. Well, that's going to give me grounds for a search, I think. So what we can do then is go down to pat down the ped. And you can hit enter and they will start to perform a pat down. Little searching animation and then it'll bring up this box. And as you can see, we've got a burnt meth pipe citation ticket and a Zippo lighter. Once we're finished with this, we can just go back. So because of the burnt meth pipe, let's just say we want to arrest him for this. We can just go down to the bottom and hit arrest ped.
Hope you like prison food, shithead.
And there we go. Cuffing animation will play. Cuff sound effect. And as you can see, the ped icon on our minimap has now changed to red to show that he is in fact under arrest. What we can then do is we can then move him and put him in our own vehicle. We can bring him over here and put him into the rear of the vehicle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this guy's history. So let's get back in our car. And what you can do here is you can actually hold down E and it'll bring up the Compulite system. So this is going to be our first look at this. So this is much more intuitive than the standard one because as you can see you've got a mouse so you can actually click on things and do things. So ped records, we can click on that and here is our detained person, Deshaun Nelson. And as you can see it brings up all of his information. We've got a ID photo, his age, his date of birth, where he lives. So he's actually from Calafia Road. He's got a valid driver's license, as we know, no outstanding warrants. He's been stopped 4 times before. He's not on probation and he's not on parole. And as we've already found out, he does have a gun permit for a concealed carry of handguns. He's never been arrested before, as we can see here, but he has been given a couple of citations, a seatbelt violation, operating a bicycle on a highway, and improper passing. If we decide that we don't actually want to arrest this guy anymore, then what we can do is simple. We can get out of the car. Push E to ask the ped to get out of the car. And then when we can face him, we can just push E and we've got the option for release handcuffs. And we can either ask him to let him go or we can ask him to stay. I'm done with this guy so he can be let go.
Alright, you can go now.
And from that, the ped icon on the map will disappear and Deshaun is simply going to walk away. Just to show you that you can also use the same menu on a traffic stop, you can walk over to the window and push E, And now you get all of the same options. You also see that at the bottom there is a notification reminding us to change the keys in the INI file, which we've already done. But below that you can see that there's an observation. You can smell a strong odour of alcohol from inside the vehicle, and the driver seems to be nervous and sweating. That's another feature of Stop the Ped. It will give you observations every now and then. So we can ask for all this lady's documents, which will ask her for her ID or driver's license, the vehicle registration and the insurance card. All that appears to be in order. We can ask the driver the question. So we can ask her, have you been drinking? No? Okay. Where are you headed to? Anywhere I like, that's fine. Then what we can do, we can ask her to step out of the vehicle. There's a lot of people in the way here, so I'm going to ask her to accompany me over here. We're just going to stand in front of this shop. So what we're going to do is we're going to be asking this lady a couple of things. So if once again,
a little space, please.
If we double tap E,
Wait there.
so we've officially got our stops, and once again you see that PED observation, alcohol intoxication, rapid involuntary eye movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our menu once again, and we are going to ask to do a field sobriety test, starting with a horizontal gaze. There are 3 of these as normal, and they are the normal field sobriety test that you can see. You've got the horizontal gaze, the one leg stand test, and the walk and turn test. The next thing we're going to ask her to do is a breathalyzer test. So if we go on to here, we'll ask for a breathalyzer, and a short animation will play doing the breathalyzer test before it gives you the result.
Thanks.
And as you can see, that she has failed that as well with a 0.104% blood alcohol level. We're also going to be asking her to do a drug swab test. So again, similar thing. Short animation will play and it'll show you results of a drug test. And it is negative for anything, perhaps unsurprisingly because there weren't any observations in relation to narcotics. So now we can arrest them. And I will also show you another little hack. You can access the Compulite system from outside of your vehicle if you go Control and 0. So this is specifically left Control and 0, and it opens up here. So if we go on Ped record, this is Megan Wild who we're speaking to today, and she's got an expired driver's license, as well as a concealed carry handgun license. The vehicle that she was in, this one here, this is her vehicle here, and you can see all the things other than that, and if you click on the owner records, it will take you back to whoever the owner is. What we're going to do here is we're going to arrest her for driving under the influence, so we go in the traffic, revoke license, or sorry, driving under the influence, tick the box for that, and we can go to open action menu. Here we've got submit charges. If you want to submit, you can cancel them, add short notes, and now we can add a note, blue 0.104%. And then we can submit those. And as you can see, these are now added onto her arrest records. And if we go all the way across, it'll open up a court date. And so you can see there's now a due court date for her for driving under the influence. While we're waiting for this to happen, we can now look at getting some backup. So if we push B, this will open up our ultimate backup menu. Now there are lots of things here. We're on a traffic stop at the minute, so we'll default to the traffic stop menu. But you've also got felony stop, code 2 backup, and code 3 backup. And again, variations for local and state units, SWAT and noose units, as well as the usual ambulance, fire, medics. You can even get air ambulance and air SWAT. For the time being though, I just want to get a unit to come and transport her, so we'll just get someone there. And as you can see, a little blue dot will appear on your map for ultimate backup, and we can see them down there in the distance.
Copy that. On my way.
If they're taking too long, however, what you can do is you can hold backspace, and it will spawn them a bit closer. We can actually hit 8 on our keyboard, and this unit will come and take her away.
You're a waste of space.
So this officer's going to put her into his car and then take her away, and then in the meantime we can get rid of this car by using our context menu, G, and then we can ask for tow service. And then we can ask for a small tow truck, a large tow truck, or a flatbed, which we're going to go for here.
Flatbed, assistance required in Davis.
And there it goes. The last thing we're going to quickly take a look at is using Ultimate Backup in case you're feeling lonely. If you push B on your keyboard to bring up the Ultimate Backup menu and then go back through to find partner, you can actually spawn yourself a partner who can ride along with you. So let's say we want someone who is going to be in the same vehicle as us. They can copy the same handgun that we have, that's all fine. And we want them from local patrol. This is as defined as by that XML for default regions in the Ultimate Backup folder we just looked at earlier. As you can see, we can select that, and now we have a partner who is going to come along with us. If we get back in our car, and if we press T, our partner will get in the vehicle with us. And now they're going to be able to come along with us for all of our adventures. Speaking of adventures, there is one more thing that I'm going to be showing you how to do to enhance your LSPDFR experience. As mentioned in my last video, LSPDFR only really comes with two basic callouts, that being robberies and pursuits. Whilst there is nothing wrong with these callouts and they are very enjoyable, they can become a little bit repetitive over time. Therefore, I'm going to quickly show you how you can install a callout pack to add more variety in the types of calls that Dispatch might send to you. If you head on over to LSPDFR.com, find your way to the download section and then onto scripts and plugins. Here you will find a whole host of different plugins and callout packs that you can choose from. You can have more than one callout pack installed at a time, but like anything in modding, the more you add, the more unstable your game becomes. For this demonstration, I'm going to be showing you how to install super callouts. The reason I've picked this one is because it is a very well made pack, and as you can see by this list here, it comes with a lot of callouts that you can get involved with. Whichever callout pack it is you've decided to download, head over to the right hand side and click on download this file. Agree to the download terms, and you'll be navigated to that 5-second countdown page before your callout pack will start to download. As ever, all you need to do is open up this zip in your downloads folder, find plugins and drag and drop it into your root GTA5 directory. If we now go into the plugins folder, LSPDFR, you'll see you've got two more files here for supercallouts.dll and supercallouts.ini. The ini folder, as ever, giving you options to change some of the key bindings and the option to also turn off and turn on certain callouts. That is now a complete install and will be available to you the next time you go on duty in LSPDFR. It's as simple as that. So back in game, we go to our police radio and request a call, and straight away we've got one of our new callouts, which is a 911 report of a vehicle parked illegally. So that's going to be just about it for this video. You should now be able to play a whole host of different callouts and use those three plugins, Stop the Ped, Ultimate Backup and Compulite, to really dive deeper into the world of being a cop in GTA 5. If you'd like to see more examples of these plugins in action, then head on over to the rest of my channel where I play GTA 5 as a British police officer, and I use these three plugins in every single one of my videos. If you would also like to try and make your game to feel a little bit more British, say, then click on this video here and I'll show you how to get started. In the meantime, thank you all so very much for watching. I've been Dodo McGee and I'll see you back on patrol.